Imagine driving home with your best friends after a great night out. You have plenty of gas, the weather is fine, and you know the route by heart. But instead of turning south towards home, you turn the car in the exact opposite direction, driving straight up a freezing, treacherous mountain road until the car gets stuck in the snow. And then you leave the safety of your vehicle, walking directly into the freezing wilderness in the dead of night. This is exactly what happened on February 24th, 1978. 5 young men from California vanished without a trace, leaving behind a perfectly functional car, a trail of baffling clues, and a crime scene so bizarre that investigators call it the American Dyatlov Pass. Months later, the horrific discovery of their bodies would only create more questions. Why did they drive up the mountain? Who was the mysterious witness in the dark? And why did one of them starve to death, or surrounded by a year's supply of food? To understand how weird this case is, you have to know who we are talking about. In the town of Yuba City, California, they were known simply as the Boys. There was Gary Mathias, Jack Madruga, Jackie Hewitt, Theodore Wire, and Bill Sterling. They ranged in age from 24 to 32. They were inseparable friends who all played on the same recreational basketball team. They also all lived at home with their parents, as each of them dealt with varying degrees of mild intellectual disabilities or psychiatric conditions. Gary, for example, had schizophrenia, though it was well managed with medication. On Friday night, the 24th of February, the 5 men packed into Jack Madruga's car. It was his prized 1969 Mercury Montego. They drove 50 miles north to the town of Chico to watch a college basketball game. They were in high spirits. Their own team was scheduled to play in a tournament the very next morning. They had even laid out their uniforms on their beds before leaving home. The game ended around 10 p.m. The boys stopped at Bears Market right by the campus to grab some road trip snacks. Hostess cherry pies, a few candy bars, and some sodas. The clerk remembered them specifically because they arrived just as she was trying to close the store. They got back into Jack's car, snacks in hand, completely ready to make the easy 1-hour drive straight south, back to Yuba City. But they didn't go south, for reasons literally no one can explain. Jack turned the car east. They drove up Highway 162, a winding, unpaved logging road that leads deep into the freezing, high-elevation wilderness of the Plumas National Forest. They were driving directly into a brutal winter environment, wearing nothing but light jackets and sneakers. When the boys didn't come home the next morning for their big tournament, their families immediately knew something was wrong. They contacted the police and a massive search began, but it took 3 full days before they found the first major clue. On February 28th, a park ranger found Jack Madruga's car, abandoned on a dirt road high up in the Plumas National Forest. It was 70 miles away from Chico, completely in the wrong direction from their home, and the condition of the car made absolutely 0 sense. The car was slightly stuck in a snowdrift, but it wasn't trapped. 5 athletic young men could have easily pushed it out. It wasn't out of gas. The engine worked perfectly. If they had just turned the key, the heater would have turned on and kept them warm. but the keys were gone and the boys had vanished into the freezing woods. But here is a detail that baffled investigators the most. That mountain road was deeply rooted, unpaved, and incredibly treacherous. Jack Madruga was known to be fiercely protective of his car, but the undercarriage had zero damage. Whoever drove that car up the mountain in pitch black navigated the dangerous terrain with impossible precision, almost as if they knew exactly where they were going, or someone else was driving. For days, police had no idea how the car got there. But then a man named Joseph Shons came forward with a story that turned this missing persons case into a chilling mystery. On the exact same night the boys vanished, Joe Shons had been driving up the exact same mountain road to check on a cabin. His car hit a snowbank and got stuck. While trying to dig out his car, Joe suffered a mild heart attack. Exhausted and in pain, he climbed back into his car, leaving the engine running to stay warm, and waited for help. A few hours later, in the dead of night, Joe saw headlights creeping up the mountain. It was Jack Madruga's Mercury Montego. It parked just down the road from him. Joe also reported seeing a second vehicle, a pickup truck, parked nearby. Joe heard voices and shouted for help. But the moment he yelled, the voices instantly stopped. The headlights were shut off. The mountain went dead silent. Joe stayed in his car until morning, eventually walking down the mountain to safety. When Joe walked past the Montego in daylight, it was completely empty. Whatever happened on that road terrified the boys enough to abandon their car and flee into the freezing woods in the dark. Brutal winter weather made searching the mountain impossible. It wasn't until June, 4 months later, that the snow finally melted enough for hikers to venture back into the Plumas National Forest. And 19 miles deep into the wilderness, far past where the car was abandoned, they found a Forest Service trailer. Inside the trailer, investigators found the body of Ted Wires. He was wrapped in 8 layers of sheets. His feet were badly frostbitten, but the coroner determined he didn't die immediately. Ted had survived in that trailer for anywhere from 8 to 13 weeks before finally succumbing to starvation and exposure. This is the detail that kept investigators awake at night. Ted starved to death in a trailer that contained a year's supply of food. There were dry matches and forestry manuals explaining how to turn on the propane heater. None of it was touched. He endured freezing agony for weeks, yet never once attempted to start a fire or open a single can of food. And Ted wasn't alone. His friend Gary Mathias' shoes were found inside the trailer, meaning at least 2 of them made it there. Over the next few days, searchers found the remains of Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, and Jackie Hewitt scattered along the path from the car to the trailer. But Gary Mathias? He vanished into the woods and has never been seen again. Some believe they were chased up the mountain by whoever was in that pickup truck. Others think a slightly wrong turn led to a massive panic attack in the dark. Because of their mild cognitive abilities, police theorise they may have been too afraid to consume the food or start a fire, because they feared they would have been arrested from stealing from the government. But we may never know the truth. The Yuba County Five remains one of the most chilling mysteries in American history. What do you think happened on that mountain road? Let me know your theories down in the comments, and if you want more deep dives into unsolved mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.